Hey, and welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast and YouTube channel with me, Johnny Pardo. I've got a very special episode today, and I'm going to be talking to my good friend, John Martin, John from Manchester. And
Hello.
hey, John. And John is going to be sharing some of his story and some of the struggles he's had in the past. But now he's very, very strong in his personal growth. He started up a nutrition business and various good health habits. So we're going to be talking to John today. And I want, as usual, to kind of relate this back to self-esteem, and very much I'm going to believe that good habits can shape how you feel about yourself. So we're going to be covering a little bit of that in John's story as well. So I'd like to introduce John. So John, welcome.
Hello, how you doing, Johnny? You good, mate?
I'm great, thanks, mate.
Cool.
It's great to have you on the
Thank you
show.
for having me on. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
No problem. So, John, I've kind of done a brief introduction there. Would you mind just kind of like sharing with people a little bit about you, a little bit about your past story and what you sort of do now?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Right, well, I'll start it right from the beginning and I'll go through quickly. When I was 4 years old, I was run over by a 16-ton wagon, breaking several bones in my body and living. So yeah, 1-0 to me, I win. Then when I was 6, my parents got divorced. And then from that, I didn't really speak to my mother very much as a child, and I ended up living with my father. My dad got full custody. We moved to Manchester from London when I was 11. Started up a whole new life in Manchester, which was really a godsend. And from the age of 11, due to my traumatic past, I found the escape of emotion by the way of cannabis. And then from cannabis through my teens and into the age of 18, it started with ecstasy, gas, trips, LSD, stuff like that. And then when I was 18, I lost my mother. My mother passed away. I wasn't really in contact with my mother, but it still hurt just as much. And I then, a year after that, I found the devil that they call cocaine. I was a cocaine addict for 20 years. 19 years and 9 or 10 months. Don't want to get that wrong. And then after that, I found a way to quit. I quit one day, just by the click of the fingers. And I'm just over 3 years clean. And in the past 3 years, I've found my true self. I've found the need to face emotion instead of hiding away through the escapism through drugs. And I'm creating my own nutrition business and coaching business going forward. And I'm in a great place.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for kind of sharing all that, your personal story, and it's truly, inspirational, really, of how you've, developed and sharing that with us. So yeah, thank you, John. So obviously you mentioned about kicking the sort of the drug habit. How would you say you managed to do that 3 years ago? And congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, well, I went to as people heard of Tony Robbins, great man. He does these big events called UPW, and I was at it. I can't remember the reason why I went. I can't remember much about going there beforehand because I was absolutely off my face. I've been up for 3 days at this point, and I was in Manchester on Friday afternoon at about 1 o'clock, and I'd had my last line of cocaine in the toilet, and then I was in this free UPW event to buy tickets for the UPW, and didn't have any money. You know what I mean? Couldn't have bought a ticket. So a gentleman called Alan Clenhans, good friend now, he asked me if I'd like to stand up and tell the audience why I'm here. Sorry, let me say that again. He asked if anybody would like to stand up in front of 350 people in the room and say why they're here for the day. So I was absolutely off my rocker. I hadn't slept for 3 days. I put my hand up. Well, somebody put my hand up subconsciously. And then I stood up in front of 350 people after being chosen second and said that I'm a cocaine addict. I'm off my head now and I want to stop. And I stopped that day. But in the process of giving up, in the process of that day, my best mate phoned me out of the blue and said he would pay for my ticket. So at the end of that day, I'd quit cocaine and I had my ticket to UPW. And that was the one day of what completely turned my life around upside down, whichever way you want to say it. And it was a life-changing experience of whatever changed to me and whatever flipped that switch that day. From spending £1,500 a week on cocaine at that point on average, to just going completely nothing was something that went on in my mind, which is still so hard to explain because it's unheard of in just to be able to just snap a habit like that. So especially when I was so serious.
Oh well, again, congratulations, and obviously it's been that's a big. It sounds like it's a big turning moment in your life at that event. Did you feel like obviously you weren't 100% sure why your hand went up or anything like that, but did you feel like there was a change to your sort of your mindset or how you felt from kind of being in that environment at the time a little bit and being surrounded by the people?
I think it's because I actually finally admitted it, and because I'd actually had the admittance of, right, I'm actually saying this instead of just being stuck in the same habit of the same past thoughts. I've been given that opportunity to put myself in a massively uncomfortable position of standing up in front of a room full of 350 people. I couldn't even speak to the person next to me, so I was out of my head. And because I actually, something in there has said, it's your time, or whatever, I don't know, it's completely changed the outlook of, hang on a minute, I'm stood in front of 350 people telling them, I'm admitting that I'm doing it when for years I was a liar. I mean, I was a thief, drug addict. You know what I mean, always levered. People didn't know because you couldn't tell I was because I was just on it. It was my persona, how I was. So I think that day was the opportunity to just stand up in front of a room full of strangers and say it. And that was just the turning point of. So I remember leaving there that day, and it's just like I'm never ever going to do it again.
And that's obviously a very courageous thing to do for you to just like stand up and admit it in that moment. Had you done anything that big before, like as courageous as that?
No, because it was always drugs. So I was always hiding from emotion instead of admitting it. So when you feel that, when you do get past significant emotional events, like I did do, well, several. You mean I lost my mum, I got hit by a lorry, divorce, which I blame myself for subconsciously. I mean, all stuff like that before the age of 19 years old. It was sort of like to be able to stand up and sort of say an admittance. It's just something just been taken away from me. And I just didn't feel the urge and the pull and the negative pull and the habit. It just left me. And people said after 3 or 4 days, I was like, no, I don't want it. And then after, it took me 7 months to really start to actually have my proper come down. It took me 7 months of feeling dreadful and feeling horrible. I wouldn't say actually fighting the addiction, but 7 months of actually realizing the person that I can be and the person I'm becoming.
And before you kicked that, how did you feel about yourself as a person before you kicked the addiction?
Just very low self-esteem. So completely the opposite to what I am now. I mean, liar, thief. Didn't really care what I cared a lot about what people thought. But that's what I have behind the drugs, and that's what you do. You think that everybody's thinking about you, and they're not. And then I'm always paranoid. No real. I used to work long nights on motorways, 13 years of work for nights on motorways. I used to do 12 on, 2 off, 12 nights on, 2 days off, 10 to 12 hour shifts. And I used to be out on the motorway working, absolutely wired, putting cones out in front of trucks and stuff. And then I get home, stand in my kitchen all day, keep on sniffing, and then just go, right, go and have a quick wash, go back to work again, and then do that for 3, 4, 5 days at a time. And I've tried to run away from it. I moved down to Watford, I've done bits of traveling, but I realized it was always trying to run away from something. And the day that I quit was the day that I'm actually just realizing now, was the day that I actually faced everything that I'd never been able to do before. And that's what is the hardest for people, facing up to what they hate most. So, and that's why people drink, that's why people take drugs and stuff, to hide, to remove the emotion.
Okay. No, that's, that sounds like you definitely had it's definitely a bit of a challenging time for you before you hit that. And after you said about admitting and it being open to a big group of people, which is a massive thing to do, how did you find a new sense of respect for yourself a little bit after that moment? After that,
yes,
in that come down moment as well, over those 6 months.
How it actually happened on the day was at the end of the 2-hour free sort of little seminar. I had no money for a ticket. I spoke to a couple of people, because people come up to me saying you're a massive inspiration, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a fucking junkie. I mean, I'm not this and that. And I actually left the building first with my head in my hands because I couldn't afford a ticket. And then I went and got into my old Peugeot, D-Reg Peugeot, drove off, and then my best mate phoned me and said, listen, I had a feeling I should phone you. And he rang me and he said, stick it on my credit card and pay for the ticket. So that's when the lift came as well, sort of thing. So I think I was going down, I can't remember the name of the road, quite a wide road, and I just handbraked it and just turned around. Went and parked back in the spot that I did do. It was at the Renaissance Hotel in Manchester. Went and parked back in the spot, ran back in there and got my ticket. And that was just like, I'd never really followed Tony Robbins before, didn't really know anything about him. But then it was like, that was the day that changed my life, with meeting the likes of Alan and, showing that, because my best mate Twiggy was the first person who I met when I moved up to Manchester as well. So he was a catalyst in my life as well. So for him to do that was like, it's about time you stop letting people down and start actually proving who you are. But then on the opposite side of it, I believe that I was dealt this hand to be able to have the time of doing that, and then coming out of it the other side to help others and move it, from strength to strength, away from habits and addictions.
Awesome. And after the kind of the 7 months of your sort of like your come down, was that when you started to get into more exercise and better care of your sort of nutrition?
Definitely with the nutrition after 7 months, because inflammation's a silent killer. There's a lot of things that inflame your body, inflame your joints. You get inflammation all over. So because of the amount of drug taking I was doing, I was probably 4 stone heavier than I am now. So with this, I already had a good knowledge of nutrition because my brother was a competition bodybuilder when I was younger. So I had a good knowledge through that as well. So I always had someone to look up to and help with that. And I used to I've always been one for doing assault courses. I mean, I've done 4-day benders, stayed up all night, and gone on an assault course on the Sunday morning, but I only sleep for 4 days. So I've always sort of kept myself more strong in the mind to say that nothing will ever beat me. So with it all, with the knowledge that I've had from being in a lockdown mind through drug taking, so there's no movement in your pineal gland, there's no serotonin levels going, being released to the true levels it can. It's all cortisol and all basically stress and depression. So when I actually came out of it, the stuff that I didn't know already came alive because my brain was alive. And all of a sudden, my brain turned into a sponge that most 16-year-olds have. You know what I mean? When you're actually starting to go to school and you're starting to learn everything. I never really did that because I hid from it from when I was, since 11 years old, smoking cannabis. So when I came, it was just like, something switched on here, and my life just started to change around. Peer groups started to change, started to meet people like yourself, and my world just started to open up. I mean, I will always have my best mates, and they'll always be my best mates, but my world has opened up to just something so much more, and being able to learn. So with the nutrition, I've brought it into my own because it was something that I've always known about, and I think that's what's kept me alive.
Awesome. So your nutrition now, do you tell us a little bit about what you do for now in terms of your nutrition business you're sort of building up?
Right. What I'm doing now, I left my job in 2 years ago, and I had a go of building a nutrition business, and it all went a bit wrong. So I had an amazing lesson in what not to do. So I went back to the drawing board, and I've started again, and I'm in the process of setting up an affiliate business through nutrition. It's going to be like a nutritional supermarket where it's going to have information on there, just the best ways to keep you healthy, just from in general, of just that you can do simply in your general day life that doesn't really cost very much. And then there's going to be links to some of the best companies out there, which I'm working with closely at the moment, to bring you an option of anything that you have in your cupboards every day. You can get it through my site, especially through the good nutrition, instead of the stuff that's got the full of refined sugars and other things that you get in supermarkets. So I'm just sort of trying to set myself up a nutritional site that's a supermarket for the mind and the body. So you can buy your products and you can read up on the information which I've learned, which I will be sharing with you. So yeah, so I'd say it's going to be a supermarket for nutrition, really.
Awesome. Then there's lots of good supplements out there to definitely get people in. And we sometimes, I know things like, kind of, for me as a vegan personally, sometimes miss out on things like vitamin D or vitamin B12, but actually getting a supplement that gives me that. And actually, if I'm missing out on that, that can cause you, if you're missing too much, to have things like feeling down, maybe a little bit depressed. It can trigger your mood. So certainly, definitely agree with all the supplement, things that are out there. Obviously, legal ones that's out there. So no, that's fantastic. Did you notice when you've kind of been, obviously we're allowed, everyone's, it's good to get treats in now and then. We've had a drink together, people have drinks, all that, treat themselves certain days. When you're kind of generally eating really well, do you feel a massive kind of difference in yourself and how you feel about yourself?
Giant difference. Yeah, you feel, it's the vibrance to feel about yourself. It's a clear mind. It's the no fogginess. It's the not thinking back of why did I do that, or you haven't actually got the guilt of, because a lot of it's habit based. From actually, sometimes you'll be in a supermarket and you'll put stuff in your trolley through pure habit when you don't even realize you've done it sometimes. So it's the whole thing of, when you do start to notice what you're buying and you start to begin to eat a lot healthier, and you start to feel the vibrance, the vitality, the health from it, the more energy, you can tell the difference. I mean, I'm really good with I have lemon water every day. I have a cold shower every day. I try and eat veg I wouldn't say every day, but most of the week. And I exercise a lot. And that concoction of doing that and sticking to stuff like that, I've not been to a doctor's for probably 5 or 6 years. I haven't had a pharmaceutical drug since I last went to the doctors, because I got addicted to Tramadol once, and yeah. So after that, I had the last one. I said I'm never going to touch a pharmaceutical drug again. And now I believe that there is, in nutrition is the what am I trying to think of here? Nutrition is, no, I've completely lost my head. I'll go back to that one. So
I was going to kind of touch on the nutrition for me, what I certainly learned, and I think you were covering it there a little bit, is often the view is nutrition is just connected with your physical, state in terms of your body and perhaps your energy. But I've certainly experienced, and you probably agree, that it can be your mental focus. It can affect your mental focus on tasks as well, and actually your emotions as well, how you're feeling about yourself, as we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But mentally, when you we've all got, the problem is we've all got different kind of sensitivities, and things like that. But certainly I've noticed a pattern in terms of keeping a kind of like journal entry of, okay, I felt like this after I've had that. And so yeah, I don't know if that's where you if you were going to go down a little bit.
Yeah, it's sort of like, because I believe that when I'm feeling good with the nutrition and everything, my mental focus is a lot longer. I'll find that if I've had the refined sugars or I've had too much caffeine or anything like that, you'll be focusing on your work, but then your mind will be like, oh, you just need to go and wash the dishes, or you just need to go and do this, because your mental focus won't be truly on the task meant to be. So you'll wander. But I've found that when I am eating nutrition and I'm having the right amount that my body needs, then you're like, right, but you can focus on something a lot better. And when you focus on something a lot better, it draws away procrastination. Procrastination can lead to stress, which can lead to depression, because you're not doing the actual task in hand that you're supposed to do. So yeah, it does take a lot down the mental and focus side. Yeah, the mental focus side.
Yeah, definitely. I really liked how you made the link there, and kind of how it can have a knock on from just what you're eating. You wouldn't have thought it's such a consequence, but then it can trigger off things, of course, not just physically. I mean, I kind of just, one thing just I remember to kind of share with people now is I'd say about a couple of months back, I had a bit of a kind of setback, a bit of a struggle. And I was eating really, really well, like on top of my nutrition, really exercising well. And the thing would usually knock me off, like completely off my feet. And I'd, probably been struggling. But the fact I was on a top vegan program, I was exercising, I was just full of energy. I remember going to the gym twice in one day. Yet I've got this thing troubling in my mind just because I was on top of my nutrition and fitness. Now, obviously, there are mental things like, journaling and then talking it over with someone that I did as well. But that did play a massive impact. So, yeah, totally relate to what you're saying about that one there, John. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
The other thing I know you do a little bit of, we've done a little bit together of kind of like breathing and the Wim Hof thing. So, do you find kind of practicing your breathing helps kind of your mental state as well a lot?
Yeah, because believe it or not, people don't know how to breathe. I say this quite a lot of people, but people don't know how to breathe. They shallow breathe, and then they wonder why they feel like this, and they're not feeling yes. So even something so simple like, make sure you sit down if you're going to do this, but take 10 deep breaths with your eyes shut. After 3, I'm starting to get a head rush because I must be shallow breathing. So sit down, take 10 deep breaths, and then when you open your eyes, have a look around and the room will change color. So that will show that your brain isn't getting enough oxygen if or when the room changes color. So with breathing techniques, it's one of the first things I actually started to learn about when I came sober. It was Dan Brûlé's Just Breathe that I read. Absolutely amazing book. And started feeling that, realizing the importance of conscious breathing. Because when you are focused on your breath, you are conscious, you are living in the now. And now is the only time. So with it, if you start to focus on your breath, you start to concentrate on your breath more and do good belly breathing, or diaphragmic, I can never say that word, diaphragmic breathing.
That was pretty good effort.
Yeah, so and then you will start to think and you will start to feel more, a lot better. You will start to stay focused. You'll start to be able to get work done quicker. You'll be able to there's massive benefits. So I say that strongly, that people don't know how to breathe, and it is worth looking into it and learning, because it makes a massive difference. And it's one of the things I mean, you can't live without breathing. So the better you can breathe and the deeper you do your breathing, the more conscious you do the breathing, you will feel, yeah. Take a deep breath for that one. No.
Loving the demonstration, and definitely something I've heard Jay Shetty, the big in the personal development world, talk about as well, when he used to be a monk, and that's one of the first things they taught them, apparently, when they joined as a monk. So that's quite interesting.
Or sorry, quickly, just one thing, or box breathing as well. In for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, out for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds. Do that circular. Do that for 5 minutes, and your concentration will improve massively. So if you're in work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, your circadian rhythm, which is your sleeping pattern and stuff, you might start to feel a little bit tired. That is all natural. If you can't go to sleep in your office, do some box breathing, and you'll get a really release of energy.
No, that's good advice, because I think we all get a bit sluggish sometimes in the afternoon, or certainly a bit tired. And in terms of, if someone, they're having a bad day or something bad happens to them in the day, would you also advise them to do a similar practice in the breathing as well?
Breathing, definitely. Breathing and become conscious, because if something bad's happened that day, the minute it's happened, it's in the past. So it's just an event that you're putting emotion to. So if you remove the emotion through becoming conscious through breathing, then you'll actually realize that the event is just the event, and you can remove the emotion. So it's not too bad. You can move on from it and turn it actually into something positive, because you can become conscious and you're aware of it, instead of letting that one little negative event control the rest of your day, and it might go into the next day, the following week. So if you control it with your breathing there and then, become conscious and say, right, I'm not going to let that have a hold of me, I'm not going to let that have an effect on me. Good deep breathing, and you'll snap out of it. Because once again, oxygen to your brain.
Awesome. Love it. And that definitely can calm you, I suppose, in today's world, when we're triggered quite easily by many things, especially all the stuff we see on the, well, I don't watch it like you on the news, but
well, just everything that's going on. It's people's opinions that get to people more than ever, because people feel that they can't have their own opinion, and you need to follow what everything else is doing. But if you voice your own opinion, have your own opinion, and be your true self, then life is just so much more colourful.
Definitely advise that to everyone listening or watching to this, certainly, in terms of trying to improve your self-esteem and confidence. But I think kind of what you've talked through as well with the nutrition would be really, really useful. Of course, the invaluable, and then of course the breathing as well. These are just kind of things that are part of self-care, and I always teach people that self-care is self-love, in terms of looking after yourself the right way, because you're treating yourself in that way. So I know you certainly expressed to us today that you feel like you look after yourself really well now, as opposed to before that defining moment at the UPW. So thanks for that, John. Are there any, as we sort of like wrap up, are there, in terms of nutrition, perhaps if you had maybe your top 3 to 5 tips you'd advise people to do in terms of their nutrition?
Yeah, top things in nutrition. My top 5 would be definitely drink lemon water every day. Large doses of vitamin C. You won't get common colds. You won't be susceptible to flu or anything else that's going on at the moment. And your immune system will become bulletproof. Along with that, cold showers every day. I have a magnesium salt bath every day, followed by a cold shower. And that helps kickstart your lymphatic system, your lymph nodes, and you've got more lymph in your body than you have blood. And it's the lymph that carries the toxins out of your body. So if you have a cold shower and kickstart those lymph nodes, you're going to drain a lot more lymph than if you don't do it. So you're going to live forever. You will be bulletproof. That was only 2, wasn't it? What the rest of them?
3, actually. You talked about drinking some lemon water, some your vitamin C intake, and then the cold showers.
Yeah, sound. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and then what can I say? Get a good vitamin D supplement when the summer months between toward the end of October and April. Get a good vitamin D supplement because you don't get enough vitamin D. 95% of the population are vitamin D deficient. You can get vitamin D out of mushrooms, and if you leave mushrooms on the side in the sun or out, in the sun for like 20 before you eat them, they will actually get stronger with vitamin D. As a little tip for you. And number 5, I've got so many. My mind's just all over the show. Number 5 will be one for your mind. Always speak good of yourself. Never ever speak bad of yourself, because your thoughts are things. So, and how you think is what you become. So always speak good about yourself. Always think about the future. Don't think about the mundane past. Think about how exciting tomorrow can be, instead of what went on that day, and your life will start to change dramatically. So yeah.
Brilliant. That's
give
fantastic.
you 500 more if you want. Yeah.
Well, no, those are certainly useful. The cold showers was a useful one to me because I kind of stopped doing it for a bit. So, Johnny, get back on the cold showers. Yeah, I did jump in. We did go in the cold sea.
Went in the North Sea
Newcastle.
swimming.
Yeah,
7 o'clock in the morning.
That won't be up. Certainly. So, John, I really appreciate you being on here today. So, thanks very much for sharing all your kind of knowledge and your story, obviously.
Thank you.
If kind of listeners and the watchers want to find anything else about nutrition or kind of from you, is there anywhere you direct them to?
Yeah, I've got my nutrition website, which I'm actually upgrading at the moment. So by what month are we? We're in the middle of October. I didn't even know that. Sorry, I don't live on time or dates, because the only important time is now. By the 31st of October, if not even earlier than that, my website will be fully updated, jbsnutrition.com, to how I want it. So you can get me there, or you can email me on jbsnutrition@gmail.com. So yeah, and I'm available on both if you'd like to ask any questions or want to know more about my site.
Fantastic. I will include them in the details of this episode as well, so people can just see it there as well. So yeah, thank you for your time, John. It's been great chatting to you.
Thank you, Johnny. Great chatting, brother. And yeah, it was a pleasure to be on your show, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.